Hi everybody, Merlyn Silva here, back once again to spend a little bit more time working with the plugin Addictive Drums 2. In my last video we walked through the different features and pages of the plugin, spending a bit of time checking out the signal flow and also having a look at what's going on underneath the hood. So if you didn't catch that, check out the link in the description and go and have a look now. For today though, we're going to spend a bit of time looking at some neat tricks that you can do that might spice up some of your own productions. I've selected 3 cool applications of Addictive Drums 2 that I'm going to walk you through over the next few minutes. First off, I'm going to touch the tip of the iceberg in designing your own kits by having a look at the layering function. After that, I'll be going deeper into the routing options, showing you a cool way to add some space and width to your drums whilst keeping your original punch. Finally, we're going to have a closer look at the beat section and use it to quickly and intuitively sketch out the basics of a club track in just a few minutes. So let's get started and have a look at Addictive Drums 2. So you'll notice I'll be using a lot of sounds from the United Heavy pack in this video. As I said last time around, this is just an awesome pack and I really can't get enough of it. I think the thing that keeps drawing me back is just how nicely processed all of the kits are. In this simple arrangement, for example, the acoustic drums are really busy, and yet they blend in perfectly with my electronic sounds without any real tweaking or processing. They're definitely assembled with the electronic producer in mind, and it's absolute gold for things like drum fills. So yeah, be sure to check that out. So in this project, I've made my own preset in Addictive Drums 2 to form the basis of a techno track. Let's first have a listen to the pattern with some acoustic drums. And now let's load up the preset I made earlier. So as you can hear, in contrast to the packs we were browsing in my last video, this is a very electronic sound, and I've really taken advantage of the excellent processing options within the plugin to achieve quite a unique drum kit. I was able to build this patch using the layering function. Let's bring up a new acoustic kit from my library and I'll demonstrate what I mean. So Addictive Drums 2 allows me to both layer my kick and snare cells with other cells in the kit. By dragging this cymbal onto another cell, we can mirror the MIDI notes it receives and play both sounds simultaneously. Great, so let's start off by unlinking that cell by clicking on this small illuminated triangle, and instead link my kick drum to this flexi cell. Next up, I'm going to mute my actual kick channel so that we only hear the linked flexi cell. Cool, so now I'm going to open the load dialog and choose an electronic kick sound from the packs that I have installed and try and find something with some decent sub. Okay, that will do for now. So now I've got a solid low end, I'm going to begin processing. As you can see, the preset that I chose came with some processing already in place, so I'm just going to modify everything a bit for my own taste. The settings I'm using here are literally just me freestyling. There's lots and lots of room for experimentation, and I think the more time you put in at this point, the better the result you will get at the end. Great, so that's now sounding pretty electronic. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the acoustic kick sound. So instead of attack and punch, I'm just going to go for some roominess, some stereo width, and some tonal character to complement my electronic kit. So once again, I'm just kind of freestyling, and I'm often using the opposite settings that I'm using on my main electronic kit. Excellent, so you can see where this is going. With a bit more work on the different cells and perhaps employing some of the send functions, we're going to have a unique and interesting kit with a lot of space and character. Going forward into making actual pieces of music, the massive benefit here is that we're still using the internal round robin functions on the acoustic drum sounds that we discussed in my first video. And we still have the beat section and routing options of Addictive Drums 2 at our disposal. So speaking of routing options, this next trick is one of my favourites. As well as having a comprehensive mixing environment within the plugin, Addictive Drums 2 allows you to separate the individual drum cells as well as the room and overhead channels and actually route these sounds directly into your DAW. So this gives you access to all kinds of creative possibilities in treating and grouping your drum sounds. So as you can see here, clicking on this small arrow at the bottom brings up a dialog box. We can separate the signal to be pre or post fader, allowing us to decide how to mix our signals. I'm going to go ahead and send my room signal into live, choosing pre-fader to bypass the plugin's internal mixer. Next up, I'm going to set an empty audio channel to receive audio from my Addictive Drums channel. As you can see, not only can I select the different outputs, but they're even named. So that kind of attention to detail for me is really what sets this plugin aside. Really handy and simple addition there. Cool, so let's put this awesome feature into practice. So here I've got a project I've been working on, pretty basic so far, but a good moment to demonstrate these routing possibilities. I've layered both the dry signal and the overhead signal from Addictive Drums 2 on top of some pretty snappy and contemporary electronic drum sounds to create this groove. I'll just solo my drum group. And let's just mute the overhead feed for a moment. Okay, so massive difference, and the main technique I'm using here is to separate the overhead mics in Addictive Drums 2 from the plugin's mixing environment and process the sounds differently. Here you can see the track in question, routed out of Addictive Drums 2 and into live. So I picked up this trick from a video I saw of Noisia in the studio, and although they were using a different drum program, the same idea holds, and in a way, it's a similar idea to the layering process that we were looking at just a moment ago. So while my main drums are very tight and centered with clean and clear transients, these drums from the overhead channels are totally opposite, super squashed, EQ'd, and very wide. So I've employed a bunch of native live devices to process the sound, like reverb and saturation. You can really go to town here and let your imagination run wild. Buffer shufflers, convolution, frequency shifters, anything you can think of really. I've also nudged the track backwards a little bit using track delay. This allows the tight transients to pass through, followed nearly immediately by this massive wide ambience we've created, giving me a very controlled sense of space in my drum mix. Great, so to finish things off today, I've got one last trick to show you. Let's go back to the beat section. So here we're using Addictive drums to audition MIDI clips. I've just found a beat I like. And I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop that beat onto this electronic drum kit. Now I'd like to sketch out an idea for the backbone of a club track, and I'm going to need some variations. First off, I'm going to make a slightly more spicy version for my end bars using the transform function on the right. I'm going to turn up the 16ths to bring out the swing and add a bit of random velocity. Okay, let's drag that out into the arrangement and give it a different colour. So next I'm going to find a counter rhythm for a B section or a breakdown. I'm going to keep my kick pattern by pressing replace and then scroll through the remaining clips in my browser until I find something that's different enough, but of course keeping the same kind of vibe. Great, that will do for now. So finally, let's find some fills, and I think I'll need at least 3 or 4. I'll just untick this beats box so I only see fills, and set the category here back to all, and start randomly dragging a few fills onto the Addictive Drums channel in live. Awesome, so in no time I've got a solid arrangement of drums to start building upon without having clicked in or played any MIDI myself. Great, so that's about all we've got time for today. Let's quickly recap what we went through in this video. So in pro tip number 1, we looked at how we can use the layering options within Addictive Drums 2 to start creating some really interesting custom drum kits. After that, in pro tip number 2, we had a look at how you can create some crazy wide ambience by splitting various feeds out of Addictive Drums 2 and into Ableton Live. Finally, in pro tip number 3, we had a deep look at the beat section and used it to create the basis of a club track in just a couple of minutes. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks. So I'll be seeing you really soon. I've been Merlyn Silva and this is Warp Academy. Thanks for watching.